Prime Minister Narendra Modi took a cryptic jibe at the opposition indirectly for boycotting the Parliament inauguration, saying during his community event in Sydney, the entire Australian opposition leaders, along with all the former Prime Ministers, were present in the audience. And that's the strength of democracy, when everyone is together for the sake of the country. So the Prime Minister taking a whale dig at a time when the opposition leaders have decided to come together and boycott the event. Remember, over 20 like-minded opposition parties have said that they will be skipping the inauguration of the new Parliament building that will be taking place on the 28th. The opposition parties say that this is an insult of a president. The Prime Minister, taking a jibe, had this to say. Listen in.
हिंदुस्तान के लोगों ने इसको देखा है, दुनिया ने देखा है, लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात, लोकतंत्र की आत्मा क्या होती है, लोकतंत्र का सामर्थ्य क्या होता है। साथियों, आपको जानकर के खुशी होगी, और मैंने अब तक जितना भी कुछ देखा पढ़ा, मुझे इस बात की तरफ ध्यान नहीं गया मेरा, और इसलिए मैं बताना चाहता हूं, भारतीय समुदाय का जो कार्यक्रम था, वहां ऑस्ट्रेलिया के प्रधानमंत्री का आना गौरव की बात थी। लेकिन इतना ही नहीं, उस समारोह में पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री भी थे, उस समारोह में पूरी अपोजिशन पार्टी के मेंबर से, रूलिंग पार्टी के मेंबर से, ये लोकतंत्र का वातावरण ऑस्ट्रेलिया के लोग में भारतीयों के प्रति।
So there you have it, the Prime Minister saying the true strength of democracy is when the opposition leaders also come together for the sake of the country. This was his message for the opposition party leaders who have now decided to not be a part of the new Parliament building inauguration. Let's go across to my colleague Aishwarya Jain, who's joining us on the broadcast. Aishwarya, 20 plus opposition parties have decided to boycott the new Parliament building inauguration that's all set to take place on the 28th. Prime Minister Modi giving out a clear message of a strong democracy where opposition parties also come together for the country.
Well, that's right. That's an indirect attack made by the Prime Minister soon after landing from a three-nation tour visit. And he indirectly hinted that what happened in Australia is something that showcases the strength of the entire democracy. The former Prime Minister of Australia, opposition party leaders from Australia were present in the event that was conducted by the Indian diaspora, and that showcases the entire strength. While on the other side, what's happening in India is something which is such state of mind, because currently the controversy which is revolving around the Parliament inauguration, where the entire opposition parties have decided to boycott the Parliament inauguration ceremony, citing that while President is not inaugurating, it is an insult to the Constitution, and also naming it that it is unconstitutional. According to Article 79, it is said that President is the head of the state and she should be inaugurating the Parliament, but it is Prime Minister who is going ahead with the inauguration, to which the Prime Minister clearly had been, and the NDA is stating that it is something that the opposition party should rethink upon the decision of going forward and coming to attend the Parliament. It is certainly three political parties, Biju Dal, and also YSRCP and TDP, who had come out and said that it is an honor.
Right, so there are some of the parties that are showing forward by being a part of the inauguration. Let's also go across to Mohit Bhatt, who's joining us on the broadcast. Mohit, if there are some opposition parties that have decided to boycott the event, they have claimed that this is an insult to the president and to the Dalit community. There are also several other opposition leaders which have said that this is a very important moment, historic moment for the country, and they're going to be a part of this event.
Well, Pratibha, you see various reactions are coming in from various opposition parties. Now, we know for a fact that now 19 opposition parties have come out and they have basically stated that inauguration of the new parliament by the Prime Minister is an insult to the office of the President, and hence they will boycott the inauguration ceremony, which is scheduled to take place on 28th of May. While various opposition parties like BJD, YSRCP, TDP and Shiromani Akali Dal have stated that they will take part in the inauguration. Now, interestingly, Pratibha, after the statement came in from 19 opposition parties, late night NDA parties came out with a statement and they basically stated that the opposition parties should rethink their decision to boycott the inauguration of the new parliament. Now, this new parliament building is an asset to the nation. Parliament is a temple of democracy, and hence opposition parties should not boycott the event. In fact, they should come and take part in the inauguration. Now, we have also seen that how the politics is being played out on inauguration by the Prime Minister, where the Congress party says that according to the Article 79, the parliament consists of the President and the two houses, that is Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, to which the BJP says they are not contesting it. Every year when the first session of the parliament will take place, President will address that. But given the fact that how Prime Minister is the head of the government, and earlier also what the BJP said, earlier also Parliament Annexe, Parliament buildings have been inaugurated by former PM like Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, and hence Congress party is just playing politics for the sake of it. To which the Congress party says that there is a difference between Annexe and the Parliament library. So host of reactions coming in, but we see that perhaps for the first time Prime Minister Narendra Modi in an indirect jibe at the opposition parties while he came back from his foreign tours. Today morning he stated that he was there in a community program in Australia, and the opposition parties, including the former PMs, were part of that particular program. This is the beauty of democracy. So clearly a message coming out to the opposition parties that when it comes to the nation, when it comes to the national asset like Parliament, everybody needs to be
with
together.
us, Mohit and Aishwarya, stay on with us. We have Mr. Majeed Memon also joining us on the broadcast of the TMC. Mr. Majeed Memon, how do you look at this statement that has come in from the Prime Minister talking about a strong democracy? He says that it's important for all the opposition leaders to come together when it's time to stand together for the country.
I think it is improper on the part of the Honorable Prime Minister or the Home Minister to teach the opposition the lesson of democracy. Do they understand the meaning of democracy? And for the last 9 years, democracy has been strangulated. How the independence and fairness of the constitutional institutions have been mauled during the last 9 years regime of NDA. I don't have to enumerate each one of them, but then how suddenly they remember democracy? Well, I think it does not lie in their mouth to teach lessons of democracy to the opposition or to the people of this country. In fact, we were wanting that Honorable Prime Minister ought to have taken into confidence everybody from the opposition who constitute 69% of the people's will. And the ruling party has just 30+% of support. And then the majority in the totality of the opposition constitutes the majority of the people of India to whom the democracy and the new parliament house belongs. And therefore, I think they can still take corrective measure. 3 days are still there. They may still invite all the opposition leaders, and they also take a kind of a view from them as to how this historic function must be shaped. But nothing has been done on that sort. They unilaterally do it as though it is their property. Therefore, there is a boycott.
Okay, but you know, the BJP has also reminded the opposition that the opposition leaders had even boycotted the presidential address to the House, and that was an insult to the president. So now for the opposition leaders to say that the fact that president is not inaugurating the new parliament building is an insult does not really cut ties, because this is the opposition that even skipped a speech in parliament.
No. See, in the past there have been occasions when the opposition was constrained to boycott some important events. Each such boycott had a substantial reason. You can't just go back and say that you boycotted this, then you boycotted that. You see, on every occasion when opposition found that there does not appear to be anything which could wake up the ruling party, so the last resort was to boycott. And therefore, don't refer to previous boycotts. Talk of today's boycott. Today's boycott also could have been withdrawn if the ruling party had behaved in a manner of togetherness. You are talking of togetherness, you are talking of national event, you are talking of democracy. All these things you ought to have thought before you chalked out the program, which unfortunately you did not do. You did it as though it is your property.
Okay, all right. Mr. Majeed Memon, thank you for joining us. It clearly looks like there's